All right. Yes, yes, yes. We are back from the holiday break, and I told you we would come back blazing. Joining me on the panel tonight is Herb Lewis, the Big Bad Wolf, and the lovable Lakia Perry.
Ow! Quick burst.
I'm not sure what other panel members will be joining us tonight, but I do have a special guest tonight, the Great Mumia Obsidian Ali. Let me tell you a little bit about this brother, and once he come on, he'll get a chance to share that as well. Um, Obsidian Ali is the number one best-selling author of the Book of Obsidian, a manual for the 21st century Black American gentleman. In its kid sister volume, the Book of Obsidian, the latest edition, he is the co-founder and father of the Black Manosphere, a sector of social media dedicated to the issues, themes, and concerns of today's Black men. He was a keynote speaker for the first ever Black Manosphere meetup in Atlanta in early December 2021, and more recently hosted the Mumia Obsidian Ali Experience event in conjunction with the Black Manosphere meetup in Philly in early June 2022. Mr. Ali is a full-time podcaster, writer, author, thought leader, and businessman. After a 22-year career in the skills trade, a graduate at Germantown High School, Mr. Ali considers himself to be an autodidact, polymath,
Autodidactic.
autodidactic, okay, um, polymath, having been largely self-taught in the field of evolutionary psychology, sociology, military history, political science, and other disciplines. He continues his daily live shows, which could be heard on YouTube, and now hosts daily podcasts with his lady friend, Miss Brown Sugar, with whom he has been with for 12 years to date. Mr. Ali lives in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So, people, please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. So I'm gonna bring him on. What's going on, good brother?
Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing much, whatever. So we here. We just you just read the introduction, and typically I go around and you know check in on my panel members, and then we just dive in. So what's good with you, Herb?
Same old, man. The stride ain't changed. It's just a day.
Okay. Lakia, anything good, bad, indifferent with you?
Everything's good. Glad to be here with you guys. Glad to hear what's going on with the show tonight and our guest this evening. And had a client appreciation event on last Thursday for clients that I served as a real estate agent, and it was success. It was at the Bison's Buffalo Bison's baseball field, so it was really nice and it was a success. So I'm glad that I finally was able to get that together for my client.
For me, it's just business as usual at the schoolhouse. Summer school started today, so you
Mm.
know, kids there. A lot of different programs going on in the school, and just trying to get ready for the fall for the school year. So that's pretty much kind of quiet, low key. But as time goes on in the summer, it's gonna pick up. It's gonna pick up. So Obsidian, man, how you feeling, man? Thank you
Feeling
for
great.
joining us.
Thank you. Feeling good, man. Feeling good. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you all for having me. I appreciate it.
All right.
Uh,
So,
for,
anything you wanna? I mean, I read your introduction. Anything you wanna add
No, I
to it?
think that was very nice of you to read, and appreciate it. And looking forward to having a lively conversation tonight. I didn't know we was going to be joined by a lady, so that's really good because in light of tonight's conversation, so that's good.
Yeah, usually it's two or three ladies on here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and not saying that they won't pop in, but we usually have and that's what always make it interesting because it's always a lot of back and forth.
Oh, okay, good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm very much interested in hearing what the lady and if any other ladies happen to join us, what they think, because the current book is for them. It was written with them in mind, and I wrote it specifically because they wanted me to. A lot of ladies asked me after the first book was written and it was aimed at the guys. I had zero, not interest, but zero, but lack of a better way of putting it. I had no idea I'd be writing anything aimed at women. But I guess once the word got out about my first book, I started getting messages from ladies asking to write the second, and so I went and got to work and put it together and did it in relatively record time. And so I refer to it as a oops baby. So
Yeah, I've been reading through some of it. It's a lot of good information in there, for sure, and a lot of enlightening information that you people probably don't really think about on a regular basis. But I think reading it, it kind of ties up or connects a lot of different things, especially in this dating world that that we live in this culture and climate. So
thank you.
the first thing I want to ask, then I'll let Herb and Lakia go. So far as the Black Manosphere,
Mhm.
how did it come together, and what were the strategies to put together to create growth? Like I see, it's a movement, and a lot of men are involved in it in YouTube and other platforms. So how did that even come into place?
Yeah. Well, so there seems to be some degree of debate in and around the Black Manosphere as it's known today. So many people will say, well, Tommy Sotomayor, helped create the Black Manosphere, Sergeant Willie Pete, or Thug Titian, or Pink Elephant, or whatever. And yeah, these are all gentlemen who were antecedents to what is known as the Black Manosphere today. No doubt, they were doing what I guess you would consider Black male oriented content online. They definitely were pioneers in that respect, but they weren't a unified effort to do so. They weren't organized, they weren't unified. They were, pretty much solo operators. A lot of guys like that. They like that idea of not being part of a top-down organization. A lot of guys kind of like the lone wolf type of thing, and that's fine. But it's the organized efforts that really make the difference. And the Black Manosphere is proof of that. So it got started in 2015. It was me, O'Shea Duke Jackson, and the Angry Man. We all started out independently of each other, but then we all kind of recognized that we were all kind of doing the same thing. So we decided to kind of have a loose confederation, I guess you could call it, of the three of us, where we kind of more or less organized things. Where there was no minutes and things like that, but it was a effort to try to organize and monetize what it was that we do. This is something else that's controversial in the minds of some brothers online. The idea of having a money making venture or money making enterprise that's seen as less than authentic. It's seen as selling out and so on. And those guys, they're free to have that point of view. I'm picking up some feedback here. They're free to have that point of view, but the problem with that is it takes money to do things.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube in particular, YouTube is a male centric platform, by the way, whereas Facebook, Instagram are definitely more Black women there. Of course, Black men are there, but there's a lot bigger presence of Black women, whereas YouTube has always been a male centric platform, and YouTube is a money making venture. And so the three of us didn't see anything wrong with being advocates for Black men and making money at the same time. As a matter of fact, that's what Black women have always done. Essence Magazine was a money making. It wasn't a non-for-profit. Madame Noir isn't a 501c3, corporation. Oprah Winfrey certainly isn't doing this for her health. So why couldn't men, get together and do stuff for themselves and make money at the same time? Now, of course, what a lot of Black women and some Black men will say is this: well, why is it that you guys have to do that while denigrating Black women? That's what they'll say. And my response to that is it's a fair point, because black men don't seem to be particularly interested in standalone self-improvement content. Nobody has been able to make millions, including Kevin Samuels. Nobody has been able to make millions making self-improvement, standalone self-improvement content for black men. So that's fair. That's a fair point. That being said, for those people, and again, it's not just black women who say this, it's some black men. They have to be honest about the fact that a lot of content for black women doesn't hold black men in very high esteem. Now, you may say rightly so. You may say they have a there. I'm just simply saying that let's not act like all content made for black women is all self-improvement driven. That's, you look at the Oprah Winfrey Network today. I don't know if anybody is aware of this. When Oprah Winfrey went from network television, with which she was there for many decades, I think like 30 years, when she left and formed the Oprah Winfrey Network, she had originally tried to do light and love content. So, she would have on Deepak Chopra, and they would have a master class and all that sort of thing. Nobody wanted to watch it. It almost bombed. And she saw the handwriting on the wall and pivoted. And today, the Oprah Winfrey Network is primarily reality show content aimed at baby boomer, Generation X, and now, older millennial age black women. So we're talking about black women 35 and up, 35 and up through 50s or 50 plus. And it's reality show based. And much of that centers around, black men who, ne'er do wells in some sort of way. So I'm saying all that to say that, and everybody knows Oprah Winfrey is a billionaire. I'm saying all that to say that while it's true that much of Black Manosphere content discusses the less than flattering parts of Black Woman Inc., if you will, it's also true that, what I refer to, tongue in cheek, as the Black Vagina Vision media. I mean, much of it is centered around the not so flattering parts of black men writ large. And nobody seems to have the problem with that, but they have a problem with black men. And again, I'll cite Kevin Samuels as a most recent and biggest case in point, with them doing content that doesn't necessarily reflect very well on black women. It just seems like a two-tier system. I'm not denying what the Black Manosphere is doing. I'm simply saying, why do we talk about that while giving what I refer to as the Black Vagina Vision media a pass? They're doing the same thing. So I say, let 1,000 flowers bloom. Black men clearly are not interested in leveling up self-improvement content to the point that it makes millionaires based on it. And black women, though they do have more of it on their side, it's not like all their content is all flowers and rainbows either. Quite a bit of it is black men ain't shit. So we just need to be honest about that. We're all capitalists here, and get on with it.
That's true. Herb, you got anything? Because I know you always spoke highly of Obsidian and mentioned.
I'm a devout follower.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was, but you would always mention him and talk about his book and stuff. So, anything you want to add to what was just said?
Well, to what was said, and I'll harken back to what you were saying earlier about your book, Obsidian. Do you think the women were clamoring more for a balanced approach, view, or they just wanted something that catered to them?
Good question. Well, any black woman that knows anything about me over the past 7 years knows that if you're expecting to get a kind of Steve Harvey, Derek Jackson, Hill Harper type of approach, you came to the wrong place. That's not me. That's not how I get down. And my thinking was, if I'm going to write a book that focuses on black women, then I damn it, I got to tell the truth. And so that's, the matter of fact, that's the subtitle of the book, Telling Black Women the Truth about 21st century dating and mating in Black America. So that's how I came at it. And those of you, I don't know if the ladies have read it, but or read any part of it. And but if they have, they know exactly what I'm talking about, because I'm not going to sugarcoat things. It's pretty hard hitting.
I haven't had the opportunity of reading it. So can you guys give us some synopsis of it, or some reading of the book, or some things that you have strong opinion about in the about dating? right now?
Any of you fellas want to go before me?
I haven't had the chance, the opportunity. I'm still waiting on my copy of Obsidian, but that's a side issue. David, I know you have the copy. Have you read any of it?
I read through some of it, and one of the things I kind of jumped around in it, and I know I came across like that the big girls, the rules for that.
Yeah. So there's a chapter
Let's
for the
talk
ladies.
about
Yeah, for the ladies listening along and the ladies on the panel. So there's a section of the book that that I referred to because let's be honest, a major flashpoint in this whole conversation is the black women's dress size, to be brutally frank. It's become an issue of debate and talk. So what I did is chapter 6, I tackle it, called Rules for Big Girls. So you have to understand the context in which I was writing the book. So the book was written while it was written in the spring summer of 2021, and I finished it in early 2022. Right. So this is during the reign of Kevin Samuels. So a lot of stuff that was a lot of he informed a lot of what goes down in the book. So what I would hear from ladies in responding to him, he's talking about dress size 4 and stuff like that. So a lot of black women would say that they can never be a dress size 4 for varying reasons. So I said, okay, fine. You can't be, Tandy Newton. Got it. Can you be Tabria Major? Tabria Major is a major plus size model, if you don't know that name. Big major name in the modeling world. I said, okay, fine. You can't be Tandy Newton. Can you be Tabria Major? So that's kind of like the premise of the chapter. So I kind of outline all that.
So are you encouraging women to lose weight? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm encouraging black women to do is that they have to look good. So if their argument is that, they can't never get down to a size 4, then they need to look at plus size models they emulate.
So a woman can be a plus size and still look good. You agree with that?
They can with caveats. One of those caveats is that and Tabria Major herself has said this. She lives in Los Angeles, and I talk elsewhere in the book that Los Angeles is one of the toughest mating markets for black women for this reason. The high value black men, and I'm going to use Kevin for a kind of archetype here. The high value black men don't like big girls, no matter how good you look. You're going to have to accept the fact that guys like him are off the table.
Would you agree that not everyone is looking to be with that type of man, right?
I would agree with that. Not everybody is looking to be with that type of man. Only about 99% of them are.
And that percentage is coming from where?
Also agree that there is high value big women too.
I don't recall anybody.
What would your scope be on? What would your scope be on the high value big women? We don't want what.
How value? I'm sorry. Say that again. I didn't hear what you said. Say that again.
The high value men don't want big women, but there is high value big women.
Such as
that. So
Lizzo.
what's your
Lizzo
high value? Give me your high value. Your definition of high value.
Well, it's not my definition. It's a worldwide thing. So
okay, but what's the worldwide definition?
A Giselle Bundchen would be a high value woman. For example.
Budget, Lizzo. Check. Budget. What's the other thing?
Pardon?
Budget, check. What's the other thing?
Yeah, I'm saying a Giselle Bundchen would be considered a high value woman. She's a supermodel that makes millions off of it.
I don't want to look at supermodels. I'm not into the celebrities. I'm talking about your everyday high value people.
Yeah. But that's by definition.
What's your definition?
But by definition, everyday people aren't high value. By definition.
Right.
I consider myself an everyday person, and I make a very good living.
You might make but that's different from high value, though.
Let me jump in here for a minute, Obsidian. What you're asking him he's answering, and you're trying to take his answer to make it applicable to you. So there's got to be one standard
No, I'm
that's
not.
going to be.
No, I just no. You guys, that's like me. You can't make a statement and not have a definition that's applicable to the statement. So what I'm saying is, what's the high value women? What's the high
I just
value
answered it.
women?
I
Give me
just
the
answered the
if
question.
you said income, check. Okay, what's the other thing?
But I just answered the question. So if a woman like a Giselle Bundchen is somebody that has beauty and status and money. That also brings lots of confers lots of benefits on anybody else that's associated with her. So, for example, the brands that she represents, they make millions as a result of that. Being on Tom Brady's arm, that makes him look good. That's what I'm saying by a high value woman. That's what I mean. So Elizabeth Taylor would be an example of a high value woman.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Would you be able to date a woman like her?
Would I be able to date a Giselle Bundchen?
Yeah.
Not likely.
Would you be able to date a Thandi Norton?
Not likely.
Okay, so why is it that you're giving an analysis to women of high value when the typical average man would not date that type of woman? What I would
Exactly,
suggest,
sis. Thank you.
we right here, so you know where it goes. It's like, why don't you discuss we're all everyday people. Everyone that's on this panel, we're everyday. Some are make more than others. Some look better than
And
others.
then they always make it applicable when they talk about high value women. They always talk about white women, and it makes me laugh because I'll be like, okay, so you're high value. When I think of the word high value woman, I think of a successful woman. I think of a woman that makes six figures. I think of a woman whose credit is good. I think of a woman who has her own house that have multiple streams of income.
Right,
That's what I think of when I think of a high value woman. Okay.
right. What's
So
the
when y'all
percentage of
start putting
celebrities
all
out
that,
there?
yeah, I'm a size 12. I'm not a 4. I'm not gonna never be a 4. I wasn't never a 4. The lowest size I was a 7. Okay. I'm not gonna be a 4, but I feel like, and I think I am a very beautiful woman on top of all the stuff
As you are.
and I know other beautiful women who make good living, and have good status as financial records and portfolio as well. So when they make these statements, like, to me, it's absurd. It's like, how do you possibly make a statement like that and then in the same breath say, no, that wouldn't be a woman that I would attract? You know what I'm
It's
saying?
possible. It's
I guess
possible.
that's where I'm at.
It's
And
possible
I'm
that.
not really focused on having a high value man. Every woman
Right.
don't want a high value man.
Then
Okay,
explain.
I
Then,
want a
Every
man
man
that's
doesn't want a
honest,
high
that's
value
faithful,
woman.
and
then
that
explain to
has
me.
the drive to make a living.
Then explain to me how it was that Kevin shows was packed night after night with women lining up to talk to him about that topic.
Hear about Kevin's shows? Kevin's dead. Let the man rest in peace.
I agree, but you still didn't answer my question. If it's
The
true
reason this is
that
because
every
it's
can I finish?
drama driven.
Let out,
And the truth
let him
is,
finish.
a majority, oh, not to
Can I
cut you
finish?
off, but the majority of the women that
Sure, go
I
ahead.
would see that would come on that show, the times that I did have an opportunity of watching, they needed some guidance.
Okay.
They were lacking some self-esteem. We're
Okay.
lacking because
And
when
they
you have
wasn't high value because the high
no,
value women was sleep. They was at
the
home sleeping or
majority
making
of the
money.
high value women were not on that show. There was some good, there's
Hold,
some
hold on. Let
decent
me.
ones that came on the show at times. But one thing I'm going to say is this: when you feel like you have to go to a man or anyone to validate who you are as a woman, you're dealing with some low self-esteem issues. So there was it was a and then the men on there that of course want to hear trying to get a high value woman. I get it. I never really was bought into his what he did, to be honest, rest in peace. But I just believe that it needs to be discussed more on a level of everyday people, because look, what is the percentage of average folks to celebrities to millionaires? What is the average of people that's actually living in that
Well,
in
black
that
women don't want
income
average.
range?
Well, black women don't want average men.
Black
They
women
sure
do want
don't.
average men, and yes, they do. But you know what they want? They want men that respect them, and they want men that love them and genuinely, and that are selfless, and they want men that
We're black women. How are y'all speaking for
I
us?
know.
How
I
are
mean,
y'all speaking for black women? And
Well,
then
name me
you don't
somebody
even
else.
date black women.
Well,
So how
name me
y'all speaking for us?
because
exactly.
Kevin actually had real time conversations with black women. Sometimes those calls would be as long as an hour, which is like absurd in the world of television and talk radio, where you actually talk to black women in real time, having conversations. And he would do this night in and night out. And it would be proven. He would ask the ladies, why can't you just get with a regular guy? They said they can't respect that. So I'm just simply saying, if that's not satisfactory to you, name me somebody else. And Kevin was a very late addition to the Black Love discourse. For years, Derek Jackson, Steve Harvey, nobody said anything about them talking to black women. They only had a problem when Kevin did it.
Okay,
Well,
so let me say this.
mhm.
Let me say this. Kevin died with an average woman. She was an RN. Okay. Yeah, we make six figures as nurses because they got OT, and depending on what position you take, if you get your BSN, you could be a director, clinical director, or whatever. That's the average chick, is what you saying. Okay.
Basically.
Because us on here, us two females on here, make the same salary she made. So my thing is, she average, basically. So my thing, let Kevin rest. Y'all act like Kevin, y'all got issues with us representing and believing in God, but y'all make this man a God who none of y'all actually sit here and say y'all merely can even match up to a Kevin Samuel. I'm still trying to figure out what was so great about him because I thought he was gay. But anyway, y'all is so caught up
How
in.
very homophobic of you.
Okay, well, I'm
And
definitely
see,
not
That has
hold on,
nothing to
let
do
me
with
jump in here for a
homophobic.
moment.
Yeah, that has nothing
See,
to do with being
this
homophobic.
is the issue
What's the issue?
that has permeated black men, black women relationships is when you can't attack the substance of the argument, you undermine the individual. And that's where this gets off the rails at. You haven't attacked anything that Kevin has said, which black men have been saying for going on 50 years. So it's not about what you two black women want. It's about the collective overall decisions that black women have been making in their mate choices. We've laid out on this platform a multitude of times the number of out of wedlock births, the type of men you date, whether it be criminals, unemployed, even with Kevin's creation, Melvin. And that has stood the test of time. That's indisputable. So it doesn't matter if Kevin said the Black Manosphere is full of men who talk about this, but because you guys don't sit down and listen to it, it's oblivious to you. It's off your radar. So when I started mentioning it, y'all thought I was crazy. When I started talking about men saying no to single mothers, the ladies that were on this planet prior to you ladies ridiculed me. Then when I assembled that panel, they had a problem with it. Getting on here talking about fuck you, fuck this, fuck that. That's the crux of the issue that y'all skate around and refuse to address.
Well, you know what? Not this is my thing. Everybody and everything has its place. The manosphere has its place. There is a culture of men that do believe the way that you guys believe. But
What do you
there's
think the place of the
also
Black Manosphere is? And not to cut you off, but I'm just really curious. What do you think that place is?
that place is, I think it comes from a place. I think it comes from a place of hurt.
Okay.
I believe it comes from a place of where you've been disappointed in your past or things. It's coming from a place for the fact that I believe that you're not allowing room for growth to have understanding outside of what you feel the truth is. You know, because you're saying okay that there's a number of women that act a certain way or want a certain type of man.
Mhm.
No, there's a space for that. There are women that want that, absolutely. But don't forget, there's also a women that don't mind an average Joe. Don't and also talk about men. There's men that do not mind a thick woman. Okay, that not every man out there is. If men didn't like thick women, then a lot of these thick women, like Instagrams and Facebooks, and wouldn't get all the followings that they have
No,
if
nobody
they
said
just
that.
date women.
Nobody
So
said.
what I'm saying is that there is a space for a little bit of everyone's type of thoughts of of what they like. Space for what their likings. Let's say it that way.
Well,
So what
I
I'm trying
think
to say is that that's who you guys represent doesn't represent the majority. You're
well,
not the majority.
exactly. We agree.
That's why you don't have a lot of shows. That's why the majority are female women, shows. That's why the majority um are drama driven, maybe because women we can be catty. It is what it is. We talk a lot, but men can be too. And you need a space. I need a space to have conversation. But all I'm saying is that always, in any woman or any man should always stay open for growth
Look
and
here.
understand everybody's not in that category, but you try to
So
put one in.
so what if that space really happens on a normal basis when fellas get together? When if you got a guy and he's with his buddies and they're still having these same conversations, but it's just informal and it's like not no actual platform, and it might be at one of their buddies' house that like men have these conversations, been having them, but now
Hmm.
because social media has you know magnified everything, it's happening on a different level, and it's getting it's multiplying because the internet, how knowledge travels. But these conversations happen with guys on a regular basis when they get together, whether they playing ball, going bowling, playing cards. They talk.
Right. And the thing about it is about this inclusiveness. I want to deal with that for a minute because I find the inclusive piece very interesting. It seems that black women aren't particularly interested in inclusiveness of black men for black men's own sake. So, for example, when the ladies here say not all black women are interested in high value black men, right? Um, well, but we're looking at evidence to the contrary.
Hmm.
We're looking at evidence in real time, and it's interesting when we look at black women's preferences. They're not including the blue collar brothers. Most black women don't like to get with blue collar brothers. They really don't. And I say this with some experience. Let's look at height. We know how black women feel about that. So it seems to me that the call for inclusiveness is only going in one direction,
Hmm.
um, and that's to the benefit of the ladies.
Yep.
And black women reserve the right to be very exclusive in their preferences, in their expectations, and what it is that they like in black men or don't. I'm not knocking them for that. I'm just pointing out I'm not even going to say it's hypocrisy because I won't even go that far. I'm just pointing out the discrepancy here that the inclusiveness only goes in one direction. And even with the question, even with the notion of not every sister wants a high value brother, notice the qualifiers that they added to the high value, but he has to be selfless. He has to be, in love, and he has all these things. Again, it's only validating what Kevin said. A lot of sisters don't want to accept the brother as he is. They don't. That's their right not to. I'm just pointing out what the reality is in real time.
So wouldn't a man want a woman that's selfless? Wouldn't
We
wouldn't a
don't. We
man want
really
to be
don't know,
loved?
do we? You
I
really don't
mean,
know, do we?
so I'm asking you,
Right. That's my point. The fact that we don't know says something.
would you? So that's the thing too. How can you tell us when you're saying we don't know? How do you know?
Because we had a man.
Exactly.
In addition to a half a century of black women directed content in print, in television, and now social media. In addition to that, we had a black love business, a multi-billion-dollar black love business aimed at black women. We had a black man that talked to black women night in and night out. That's how we know.
So I asked a question.
Mhm.
As a man, wouldn't you want to be loved?
We don't know, do we?
I asked you, do you?
Do I? Well, see, that's interesting to me. I mean,
Okay.
exactly what does that mean? Since you're asking me personally, okay.
I'm asking because you're the one that wrote the book, and you
why,
made a
why,
comment
why
about
talk
me
very
saying that accepting a man for who they are.
why talk
I
very
think
little
that
about love?
everyone's going to have some type of something, some type of,
I talk very little about love in my book.
what I'm saying that everyone's going to have some kind of choices and some things that they're going to desire to have in their mate. Am I correct? There's going
Yes,
to be some
that's
things they're
different
going
from
to
love,
say.
though.
I believe that's across the board. Like, sizes was one thing. Age, children or no children. Those are all little things that you guys discuss. Am I correct?
Yes, but that's different
So
from love.
how is it an issue though when you guys have those, things? And forgive me, I'm like some words are leaving me today, but you guys have criteria that you're looking for and characteristics or whatever it may be in a woman. Why is that wrong for a woman to have those same things?
It's not.
Okay.
I never said it was
So
wrong. I just
you
got finished
said
saying that I'm
you
not
just
knocking
said
black
that
women
women
for it.
don't. No, but the thing is, how can you state something about a woman that's the same thing that goes with a man? There's some things that no one, that anybody doesn't want to deal with. It doesn't mean that they're wrong,
I
right?
didn't say that.
And it doesn't mean that they're right. But I think it makes them right because that's what everyone has a choice to
I
deal
didn't say
with
that they
what they
didn't.
want to deal with, right?
I never said that they didn't have a choice.
Okay, so I just want to make sure because because you just said women don't want to deal with those kind of men.
They
Yeah,
don't.
women.
By and large, they don't.
There's some men that don't like to deal with certain types of women.
And
So
and there's a problem when they don't. And it's a problem when they don't. Then they get browbeat about it.
it's not a problem. Then why are women getting so it's okay now to try to browbeat women for it?
No, nobody's browbeating black women for not wanting to deal with short guys. Nobody's browbeating black women for not wanting to deal with guys that don't make a lot of money. Nobody's browbeating black women for not wanting to deal with guys that are blue collar and work with their hands. Nobody's browbeating them for that.
Oh yeah, they are. Oh yeah,
Where?
they are.
Where?
David's
Where?
show.
Name the
line
personalities that make money doing it. Name them.
that makes money doing what?
Name the personalities that make money talking about how black women don't want to date shorter guys or blue collar guys or anything. Name the people that do that. Name them.
You just named the biggest one of them all was Kevin Samuels.
Right? Kevin Samuels never jumped on black women for that. Never.
He jumped on black. You just
matter of fact, Kevin Samuels. Matter of fact, Kevin Samuels specifically and repeatedly said, "I do not judge women for what they want. My question is, do they qualify for what they want?
Do they qualify for what they
want?
Yes.
Just like
who are y'all to say somebody qualified, what they qualify for? Right. Y'all act like y'all the bank and y'all giving out a loan.
Well, because exactly, and I jokingly refer to Kevin as the high value.
Y'all ain't giving out nothing. Y'all, because you know what, penises is every size, everywhere along.
Yeah, black women don't want penises. Black women want men with money. They don't want a big penis. They want men with big wallets. That's what they want.
Yeah, that's funny.
Why I be empowering that's why I be empowering my sisters. Generate your own income. Have your own residual income.
Yes, and black women, and studies have shown that black women that have money want men with even more money. That's what the studies show.
Any of that from a man, because when
black women don't say ain't nothing going on but the big penis. Black women say ain't nothing going on but the rent.
Is this the topic tonight?
Let's ask Anetta. Let me ask this question to you and Lakia specifically, since you two are on here representing black women at large. What is the bottom floor income that you are willing to accept to have a man, regardless of anything else? We're just looking specifically at his income. Bottom floor.
That's not a question for me because my answer is going to be the consistent answer I've always given on here. I do not care what you make. Pay your bills, have good credit. I don't care what you make. I dated somebody who only made $50,000 a year. I don't care what you make. Pay your bills, have decent credit, be able to travel. And if I say I want to go to Papados or whatever, we can go. If I say I want to go to Blue Skies, we can go. If you paying it or if I'm paying it. However, I'm not stuck on money because as quick as I got it, as quick as I can lose it. Okay. So I'm not a materialistic person like that.
But you said, Anetta, only make 50,000. Do most people make 50,000, man?
Most people don't.
I mean, that's from the world that I'm viewing. Okay. I know people that make less than 50,000. I know guys that make 35,000, 40,000 or whatever.
Those guys can't afford to go to Papados.
If that's what you make and you can live off of that and you
those guys can't afford to go to Aruba.
Who can't afford to go to Aruba? Yes, you can. Save your coins. Yes,
no, that's not what he said. He said most guys. and he's
Oh,
correct.
so that's
This
why
is
you
what
connect with a woman that has
I
an
don't,
income.
I don't
Yeah,
know
both have
those
an
guys
income,
that
and
can't
you
go to
can
Aruba.
afford it.
I don't know those. I mean, I don't know those guys that can't do that.
Right.
but
Oh,
this is
that's
but this
I
is
just
but
don't, because you got to keep in mind when you at a certain income level, there's a certain group of people that you're around as well.
So by
Okay.
definition, you don't know nothing about the $42,000 man life. So by definition,
No,
what
I
you're saying
do.
doesn't apply.
No, the reason what
No,
she's
I do know
right.
men that make less than that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's men that be on this panel. It's men that come on this comment that make less than that. I don't think less of them because they make less. Everybody's
Right.
path in life is different. Will I date somebody that make $30,000 or $40,000? Yeah, I would probably date him if he a nice guy.
Have you ever done
You
it?
know, God, decent.
Have you ever done it?
Dated somebody who he
When's the last time you did it? When's the last time you dated a brother seriously that made less than 40 grand a year? When's the last time you done that?
2 years ago.
How many years?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, right? And how many guys have you dated that made 40 grand or less in your whole life? How many guys have you done that?
Most of them.
In my whole life,
Most of them.
I got 4 guys I can name.
4 guys.
Yeah.
And you're saying all 4 of those guys could afford to travel, could afford to take you to Papado? That's what you're telling me.
They all did. Yes, they all did. They all did. Yes.
The thing is this.
No, except one.
It's real simple.
One,
I think
he was just cheap, but the other 3, they did.
Well, you kind of sort of have to be cheap when you're making 40 grand a year. But anyway, go ahead.
No, the bottom line is this. You could take somebody that makes 30, let's say 30,000, since that's not even average. And you have a woman that makes 30,000, that's 60,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't living house poor, you're taking care of your bills, saving a little change. One can pay the bills, the other one you can save.
Mm-hmm.
It's just being frugal and mindful of your spending.
Right.
You know what I mean? It can be done. It's like I think people just think too much into it. It's very simple. And I've dated men. It's not about the money for me as well. I've always said it wasn't about the money, because back in the day, and the generations before me, it was always about marrying a man that got a plant job, working at Delphi or all these different plants that was here years ago.
Girl, that's overrated.
It was all about that. It was all about getting you one of them men so that you can have security, and from that, husbands cheated all the time, but as long as they kept their husband so they can get that pension when he passed, and that or whatever, you make sure the rule was always make sure you married to him over 10 years so you can get that money. You know what I mean? It was always about security.
Get that General Motors pension.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that.
So that was also from seeing those generations, I didn't want to have anything to do with that. I wanted to meet someone or be in a relationship with someone. It was based on mutual understanding, respect, love, and we can create a financial portfolio together. Even though we had my own before that, but also together.
What do you say?
Building, but I always hear with the Manosphere, y'all always talk about, it's not about team, it's not about partners, it's not about. Yes, it is.
What do you say to the idea that Black women don't want to build a boo? What do you say to that?
Black women don't want to build a boo?
That's right. Mm-hmm. They don't want to build a man. What do you say to that?
No. I feel like this. A man should be a man.
Okay.
A man should. I respect a man that's a man. Okay. I don't want no boys. I got kids. I'm not trying to raise no man.
And that's something else we got to talk about. Go ahead.
He needs to come with the level of being, how to handle himself as a man.
Okay, yeah, we got to talk about that part too. But okay. So there is a lady named Rebecca Lynn Pope. She is a professional matchmaker. Okay, and she went viral some years back, about 3-4 years ago, something like that. She went viral for saying that she could no longer work with Black women because they were too difficult. They didn't want to build a boo. They want a man already well formed and ready to rock and roll and stuff like that. Now that predated Kevin. Since y'all saying I'm talking about Kevin Samuels too much, we can talk about Rebecca Lynn Pope. She got over 1 million views on that one video alone. What do you say to that?
I'm not trying to. I hear too much of that with men.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually like. I actually like her. I watched a couple of her videos. I actually like her.
Yeah,
I've never watched her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, she's not the only one. There's at least 4 black women who have said as such. She's just the more famous of them.
And
And this is what I was saying earlier. You guys, as a demographic, you don't move out of your bubble. And because you don't, when new information comes in, it rocks your foundation. And they always say, be careful when you change somebody else's beliefs, because one or two things are going to happen. They need to cling to new beliefs or they're going to attack you. This is what the Black Manosphere has been undergoing, especially with the advent of Kevin morphing into what he did. A lot of people attacked him. And now that he's transitioned, even more people are attacking him. And it's just like, where was all this when he was doing the smoke shows? When he opened up his panel for people who were dissidents or disagreed or had something to say, nobody would come. Now that he's not here, people want to flood in and they want to morph in and they want to take shots at him, up until including saying he's gay or whatever the case. And I'm just thinking that is just so low character that it undergirds why black men have dug in and some are just walking away. Because this is the ultimate question. How does a black man grow in Black America? That's the question.
One of the things, Herb, you can see it in the counselor's corner when certain, guys came in there and they started talking something different. I would get inboxes on a regular basis like, Dave, who is these guys? Because they were starting to make these women feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Uncomfortable. And we all know that when you uncomfortable, that allows growth to happen. But they were coming with a different message. And it's like, oh, this group isn't fun anymore. We used to do this and that. And I'm like, listen, I don't freaking have no elaborate interview when people come in. If they seem legit, then they start saying that these people was robots and all types of emails that I be getting. And I'm like, listen, if it don't pertain to you, just go with the flow. But in the counselor's corner, like I always say, it's 75% women, 25% men, and probably 3-4% of men that came in and start dropping some knowledge from the Black Manosphere. The women, they feel real unsettled. Then they come for me because of that. I'm like, listen,
trust me, I don't like a lot of the stuff that I could, especially stuff with Obsidian from his shows, I could bring into the counselor's corner, but I don't, because I know a lot of people they're not prepared to receive that information. Just like when BGS comes on the panel, he's always getting pushed back. And we always harken back to the history of how all this stuff began. And because a lot of people don't look into legislation, they don't look into policy, they don't look into any of that stuff, which is another question I want to pose to you, Obsidian, and I'll do that after this. They don't understand how all this stuff impacts the environment. And that's ultimately what drives what a woman's going to want in a mate. Speaking of that, Obsidian, I'm going to direct this to you.
Yeah.
How do you think Roe v. Wade is going to impact dating and mating going forward?
Good question. Most black people live in the South, and many, I would say most of the old Southern states are Republican.
Mm-hmm.
So if Roe v. Wade has now been returned to the states for each state to determine, that's going to be a lot of states where the majority, the bulk and mass of where black folk live, that are either going to just outright outlaw Roe v. Wade altogether or in some kind of way severely curtail it. So how is that going to change the relationship between black men and black women? There's a gentleman by the name of, I think his name is Desmond Scott, I think, out of Tennessee. He has 33 kids.
Damn.
By some number of women. And Tennessee is one of the trigger states for Roe going back to the states. It's one of the states that's either going to outlaw Roe outright or at the very least curtail it. So it's a very interesting question. Here's a man that's already in a red state, a state that doesn't view abortion very favorably to begin with, and that didn't stop black women from getting with him and making more kids. See, it seems to me that the Roe v. Wade piece will only reinforce the 80-20 rule. That's what it seems like to me.
I would think it should just encourage more folks to get some birth control, wear Jimmy hats. Like that simple? No.
Well, not if
No, that's
We don't talk
have
about
kids.
like no one AIDS is still out there. Just different still diseases and stuff out there. It's not just about pregnancy, but I would think that we should be more mindful of
Well, not if the
where we
women want to
spread
have
this.
the kids. The women want to have the kids from these guys, and this is something else the Black Manosphere has been saying, including Kevin, has been saying for the longest time. Black women are choosing to have children with men that have a lot of children by a lot of women,
yeah,
and leaving a lot of Black men who don't have children out.
I know
and that
there.
was.
No, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, look here.
No, I know that's out there. It's a lot out there that just needs some
But I do have a question for you two ladies, though.
some guidance.
I do have some questions for you two ladies. I was hoping because I've been asking this question to ladies a lot. So when conversations about Black love, right? Black relationships, Black men, Black women interacting with each other. Usually the conversation goes something like this. These Black men don't act right. They don't treat us right, so on and so forth. Okay, fair enough. Dusty, that you hear that word a lot. Okay. So my question to the ladies is this. Why are Black women still fucking Black men that they say is dusty, don't treat them right, cheat on them, don't love them, aren't selfless, don't want to work, aren't ambitious, aren't courageous? Why are Black women continuing to fuck and reproduce with those men? Maybe you ladies can help me with that. Why is that?
I hear what you're saying, sweetie, but and it goes both ways. Because why is these men still dealing with these women?
Because
I was watching the show. Okay, but it goes both ways. So I'm gonna answer your question.
But to answer your question, you said it goes both ways. It says it goes both ways. You asking why do the men like to deal with thoughts? I'll tell you why. Because the thoughts are hot.
So, and it's not just thoughts. Great women that's like that they call
Crazy women are hot. They have the best pussy. Crazy women have the best pussy.
Okay.
And there's a scientific reason for that, by the way.
Okay. I'm not a man, so it does seem that way to me. So I agree with you that it must be.
You ever see that movie called Basic
I get it. I do get that.
Have you ever seen a movie called Basic Instinct?
I did, yes.
Okay. So Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone.
Right? She plays basically a crazy bitch. All right. And did you see how there's a scene in the movie Basic Instinct where Michael Douglas, he plays a San Francisco cop, right?
Yeah.
And California cop. I think he's in San Francisco, right? And Sharon Stone is bisexual, so she deals with him, but she also has a woman that's like kind of a butch kind of woman, and of course she's very jealous of Michael Douglas. And he says to her, he said, you know what, this bar right here is the fuck of the century, and the butch woman, she's gritting on him and that sort of thing. So I mean, clearly, I'm saying that to answer your question. Why do men still deal with crazy bitches? Because crazy bitches are hot.
So I was not going to answer your question. I was getting there. Just to Raheem. I'm glad to see Raheem on. I haven't seen that name in a long time. And I'm going to speak from my own truth, and that is because most of the time women just don't want to be alone, and we rather have something than have nothing. But and I believe that most women need to get into a space where I had to get into a space where I don't care if it ain't what I want. I'd rather be by myself. And you have to deny yourself because we women want to have sex. We like to have crazy good sex as well. We like to have and usually the men that are no good got the good sex. So most of the time, but not all the time. So I get what you're saying. So just to be transparent, yeah, it goes both ways in that way as well. But for me, I had to make a decision, and I had to say, I don't care if it ain't fitting what I'm looking for, and if not fitting in this, and it's not going the same direction I'm going in. It's not for me, and I'd rather be happy and single, and not being alone, but happy and single. Until I meet someone, and actually, by His grace, I believe I met somebody. So, and it's been chill ever since.
Yeah.
But here's the caveat to that. Every Black woman your age believes, thinks, and feels the same way. Unfortunately, it takes the path to get there. And while they're on the path, a lot of them are doing things that puts them out of touch with a lot of Black men and what those Black men want. That's where the crossroads are. So when When black men at large say they don't want a woman that has this issue, she's coming with kids from another man, or she's not earning this, those are the reasons why, because those generally have issues attached to them. So this is why the high value man, he might deal with some type of with some of those women. He's not going to actually wife some of those women, and a lot of women fall into that. Doesn't matter what ethnicity they are, because the 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 social realms, the social way that we live in now, it allows women the freedom to do that. The other thing is they don't realize that 15 years down the road, they're going to have some regret from those decisions. And if they haven't addressed the regret to the point where they can say, yes, I was that individual, or yes, I did this, or yes, I was with this individual, then they're always going to end up hiding something. It's just like Kevin used to say. He said the difference between college women, Caucasian women, and college black women is that Caucasian women in college, they will spend the first 2 years, their undergraduate years, whoring themselves out. But once they hit their junior and senior years, they're looking for a suitable mate. Because most people in college are living that lifestyle. They're going to frat parties, they're engaging in premarital sex. But then they realize it comes a time that they have to clean that up, especially if they want to have a career, family, and a husband who they deem viable. He doesn't have to be top tier, but he's got to be viable for them. And usually that means making at least $75,000 a year, because even if he's living in a place like Niagara Falls, if she doesn't want to work full time, he's going to have to pull in that kind of money to sustain the family.
If that's the case, but everybody's not the same way. But I do get it. But no, I think it's the same way with women. It's just, again, it's to answer your question. I think, it's the passion. Most of the men that are no good know how to finesse a woman, know how to make a woman feel in the moment feel good, but they don't have that lasting presence, that continuous presence, or that continuous of wanting to be in a relationship. They just want you for that moment, know how to make you feel good in that moment, and then they put you on ice to go hang out with somebody else. So that's just how it is,
So
But
unfortunately,
is
with most men.
so why can't you like Obsidian said, y'all don't want to build the boo or whatever. So why can't you build up that non-select type of man and have patience with him to be in that role?
You know what? I again, like Anetta said that she liked that. I just, you know what? I believed, and I'm gonna say this. I believe that there was a man out there that thought the way that I thought. I believe that it was somebody that agreed with, that was someone that we can be on that same level. I always believe that, and I believe it's happened. So that's why I don't think I didn't believe I had to do that, and I believe I still don't. That's why. Some people like to do that. I don't got time to be building bears. People like to go build a bear. I don't got time for that. I just
I
rather
but,
personally,
that, but go ahead, Obsidian.
just come on
no,
the
I
same
was
page.
going
Let's
to say,
just make it happen.
I was going to say, I think it's a good thing that black women don't settle, because I don't want to be settled for.
Mm-mm.
So I think it's a good thing. Now, here's the dirty little secret that a lot of women, in this case black, don't realize. Black men settle a whole lot more than you think. If black women had any real idea how much black men settle, they wouldn't be able to handle it. A lot of black men settle for a lot less than they would hope in a woman. So
Like in what way?
in every way.
Yeah,
Like,
every way.
I mean, wait a minute. The reason why I don't agree with your statement, I'm going to say that first, because these two men are here still single, and this one has 100 million questions to ask before he even start dating somebody. This one over here, I don't even know why you're still single, but I'm just saying, I don't agree with that question because if you settled, you wouldn't be single.
Dave's still single because he picky as heck. And Herb's single because Herb's stubborn as heck.
But
Well,
see, this is what you guys fail to realize. It's just like Obsidian say, black men have been settling far more than black women realize. If
Mm.
Dave's picky and I'm stubborn, that's because we're not willing to settle. So in other words, if a woman doesn't have what we want, she doesn't get to come to the door.
And I was about to say, you know, it's interesting that she brought up you two gentlemen, because I was talking about black men more broadly, but I'm glad that she went there, because again, I mean, they're in the same camp with me. I don't want a black. Please don't do me any favors. I even wrote about this in my first book. Please don't do me any favors. Don't settle for me. Please don't. Because there's nothing worse in this life than a man that has to go home to a woman that has open contempt for, barely thinly veiled contempt, simply for existing.
Right.
So don't do me.
No one wants that. Nobody wants that. Don't settle.
Now, I do agree. I do agree with you on that. I don't know your name. It's not coming up.
Obsidian.
I do agree with you on that. Like, I feel like my ex-husband and I, we both were settled because we were so young, and we both just settled. And it wasn't even about income or whatever, because, you know, in the sense that people would say we was a power couple in the financial or stability part of the family part. But I do believe we were settling emotionally, mentally, in the whole connection of a relationship. Because we both was not content with what we agreed with from each other. So I do believe sometimes African American men do settle. I believe some women settle because in the fear of being alone, in the fear of repeating a cycle. Okay. But just to walk out the gate and settle, I think, like, you know, you said about her, but I'm at the age right now where I'm comfortable. Okay. I got a beautiful toy drawer. It's excellent. Does me well. So I don't have to be connected and with the man for me to feel like I belong. And I know that
hold up a minute. What you say? You got what? You said you got toy of. I missed that.
Man to make me feel like, you know, I'm belonging, or I don't. Am I saying this right, Lakia? We don't have to be with a man to validate or solidify who we are as a woman.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Now, that's not eliminating the fact that Lakia and I do desire to have a companion and a partner for life, but we're not willing to sacrifice our peace,
right,
and our well-being and our mental stability to say, "Oh, I got a man." Nah,
okay.
Past the
I'll buy my own ring. Keep it up.
Sweet Jones said,
I was married to myself now.
Could someone define settling?
Well, she just said it. She just said it. She just spelled that out. I saw that. It's no, we're not gonna, you know, settling is, you know, just allowing yourself, just being with someone just because you don't want to feel like you're alone. You rather have some conversation with someone than none at all.
Well, I think that's going to be different for men and women, though.
Yeah, well, you know, for women, I believe it's like you want to at least have phone calls, at least be able to go out to have dinner, or you know, Dave. You know, I would say I know, right? He's so greedy.
Well, settling is reaching an agreement, be it negotiable or non-negotiable, and just reaching an agreement and saying, okay, I'm just going to agree to just let this be. That's what settling is. It's reaching an agreement, and it can be negotiable or non-negotiable.
However, black women define it, however they arrive at it, don't do me any favors. That's where I'm at with it. And it's pretty clear to me that for many black women that do kind of see, the thing that cracks me up is, and I was talking about this earlier today, when it comes to men, and we're talking about black people, so black men, when it comes to black men, what black women want is very finite, is very tangible. As a matter of fact, it's interesting how black women rail against being rated. You know, Kevin would rate women, and a lot of black women, I'm not a number. Well, it's interesting because in the minds of black women, that's all black men are numbers. His height is a number. The kind of car he drives, the cost of that car is a number. The money that he makes a year, that's a number. Where he went to school, that's a number. His zip code, where he lives, is a number. Everything that black women want in black men can be reduced to a number. But when it comes to black women, all of a sudden now we're supposed to look at spiritual values as a worth of a person, you know, all these intangible, you know, quasi metaphysical things come into play. As a matter of fact, men aren't even seen as metaphysical or spiritual beings only in terms of their relationship to black women. So in other words, spirituality. Why does a man spirituality matter in terms of mating? Because it matters to black women, but it doesn't have any intrinsic value in its own right, standalone.
I disagree with that statement.
I disagree.
Spiritual. I mean, spiritual.
I don't want to date an atheist. I don't want to
okay.
date nobody who don't.
I don't. If you
believe
can't
in
pray
God.
for me, then prayer changes things.
Yeah, I don't want to date nobody that
Ooh, you're right
can't-
about that with
can't
black
pray.
women. Prayer changes things.
So what if he absolutely
literally-
say he don't want to go to
listen.
church? He don't want to go in the church. He don't want to go.
And note you, and mind you, I didn't say anything about non-religion. I didn't say anything about atheism. I didn't say anything about that. I said what I said was
literally, I can speak for me. I stopped talking to a guy because I made a comment to him about I pray every day at 7:00, and he was like, "Well, you could. Why are you gonna pray at 7:00 and go?"
Yeah, I was curious about the same thing. I mean, what is it specific about 7:00? I've heard of the witching hour, but I never heard of the prayer hour. I never heard of the prayer hour.
No, it's just convenient for 7:00 is convenient for me because I always pray before I go into.
So it's not doctrine here. It's just personal preference for you.
Right.
It's my personal preference. Right?
Okay, got it. Okay, fair enough.
He literally was like, "Oh well, I tried to call you at 7:15. You didn't answer the phone." I said I was praying.
Because you were in prayer. Well, how long does it take for you to pray then? That's another question. Because you said 7:00. He called you at nearly 7:15. You were still praying. So how long does it take for you to do these prayers? I'm just curious.
It's 50 women on this call. Okay. And we pray. So if somebody needs me to pray specifically for them, then I'm going to do that. You're not going to limit when how long it's going to take me to pray, or can I hit you up at no, you're not going to.
You're going to do enough. You ain't praying enough.
This is my personal belief. This is my prayers got me where I am today. It got me to succeed where I am today. It got me in the place that I am today.
That's
not just for me, but for my children and my grandchildren.
Preach,
so I'll be darned if I have a man sit here and tell me I'm gonna call you at 7:20. You better be done praying. Ninja, Lord. You better be like.
Now, did he know about that?
Be like, keep praying until you get a breakthrough for me.
Did he know about that prior? I mean, I'm just curious because he knew about that. If he got together with you, and he knew going in that you were devout, and he knew going in that you pray whatever. I don't know if this is every day or whatever at 7:00. Then that's one thing. But if he didn't know that, it's unfair to hold that against him if he didn't know it. So if he did know it, then
he thought he would change. And when I asked him, I said, "Would you like to pray with us?" I said, "Because we can pray before I get on call with the ladies." He was like, "Nah."
So did you meet this man in church?
I actually met him at a gospel concert.
Okay. Let me tell you, I was bamboozled and hoodwinked that one too, so don't worry.
Yeah, he was.
I was about to say, so what's the problem? Y'all both met at a religious theme.
But he told some people at the concert, "Oh, I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna get her." And then they said, "Yeah."
Well, King David said he was gonna get Bathsheba too, and he did.
He did. It was a sin.
He thought he was gonna lock me in, but he didn't. I'm a tough cookie. But let me give you this example. So I was going today. I just moved to Texas, and I was going today, and I drove my second truck, and my car was sounded funny to me. So I'm like, "Oh my God, my car's so funny. Let me go and gas it up. Maybe I'll put bad gas in it or something like that."
It sounds funny, so you put gas in it.
No, because the way it was sounding. No, because the way it was dragging and the way it was sounding. Oh, I know about cars. Don't play. Okay.
No, I'm just saying. You said it sounded funny. Let me go and put some gas in it.
No, a lot of the women.
No, I said let me go put some more gas because I was at a half.
More gas. Because it sounds funny.
Let me go put some. Hold on. I said let me go put some more gas in it, and then when I got to the gas station, no, it's not the gas because I seen the little smoke or whatever.
I'm shocked.
So I was like, okay, let me drive this around again. So I drove it around the corner and I said, maybe it's the manifold in here.
Yeah, you see smoke coming from your car. Let me drive it some more.
Oh, listen, I know there's some things that you don't know about, so don't you try to bring that in on her, okay?
Don't try to play me, okay? Because I know what I hear. That's not my line of work. So
No,
don't try to play me.
we are
Okay.
not mechanics.
So
Boo.
then
Okay.
I'm knowing who I am. I know my line of work, but I also know what I'm used to hearing in the car. So I see this guy, he oily, he got on the uniform. I'm like, hey, are you a mechanic? He like, yes, I am. I said, okay, let me explain to you what I'm hearing in my car. And da 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 da. I went on to explain to him. I said, it may be the hub or the manifold. First, I thought it was gas, but when I pulled up here, I seen the little smoke or whatever. And I know it's not oil because I got my oil changed, da 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 da. Whatever. So then he was like, okay, well, let me check it. So me and my girlfriend sitting there in the car, he checks it. He like, let me drive around the corner. So he drives around the corner. He was like, I think it's your manifold. I said, oh, thank you. I thought that too. So then he was like, well, take it to the garage. Let me check it. So he checked it. He was like, it is your manifold. It's cracked or whatever. I said, okay. So then he started to hit on me. My girlfriend says, he a mechanic. Ugh, you can't talk to him. He oily and dirty. He a mechanic.
He
My
does.
reply to her was, he got a job.
He got a job, and I need somebody to
And
fix
and
He
his
making
got a
good
job.
money. And
You
making
need
good money.
and need some
And
good,
that's what I told him. I said, he got a job and he made good money.
and
You sitting here just
he
had a
needs some
whole
good too.
45-hour conversation about the dude that's been collecting unemployment for 2.5 months. And you got the
Ooh,
audacity to put down this man who got a
ooh.
job.
Yo, they do it
Girl,
all
you
the
better
time.
rethink. You better rethink how you moving.
For real.
You probably should. You probably should limit your conversation with her and about your personal life.
That's the truth. No, that's real talk because that's just real. I get what you guys be saying sometimes. I be hearing some
Yeah.
way things women be saying. They be like, really? Okay. But you complain
Like,
about
I
being
ain't here to
single,
talk about, you having so much frustration with somebody who's been on unemployment for 2 months.
unemployment, but you don't want a person a man that works at the mechanic shop, at the auto shop.
The prayer sisters couldn't help with the car,
But let
huh?
me go back to this thing with this prayer situation you just discussed, sir. And then I got to also I have to answer Raheem on some things. He talk about
Okay.
Raheem
I
about the
did
black
remember the
16
helpful brother's name and his number and his
and
information
So
and everything.
let me just say this
so
real
this
quick.
mechanic of yours who
Raheem,
saved the day,
majority
is
of the
he a
women that are
believer?
in
Is he a
church,
devout mechanic?
I didn't hear you.
So this is the mechanic that saved the day for you, and he wanted to talk to you, and you wanted to talk to him. Is he a devout mechanic? Is he okay with you at with the prayer hour and all that?
I ain't get into that. We just met each other today.
Oh, y'all just met today. Okay, all right.
she
That's a
ain't giving
So
her
McGod.
the
you
That's
question
have
on
to
the
a
come
first
back and
day.
McGod.
report and let us know if he's okay with the prayer hour.
The prayer
He
hour
don't
is
have
a
to be. If
must.
he not, if he
It's like
not, then
his
it's
soul.
on.
He better appreciate it.
Move
That's what
on.
he needs to do to appreciate that. So that's the problem. So listen, real quick. One, a lot of the women that are in church are married. Actually, they're not single. They're married. Their husbands just don't go to church.
Okay.
That's just my observation. That was for Raheem.
Okay.
Secondly, that's the part that comes in where I feel like a lot of men and women, but mostly men, make a big deal out of something that is really simple. And the fact of a woman praying, I mean, so what if she was cussing somebody the hell out? Which one you want? Someone is coming cussing somebody out, or somebody saying, "Hey, I'm in prayer for somebody's
Well,
life or
I would
soul."
personally, you're asking me a question. Personally, my response would be, I would have a different response. My response would be a lady in the throes of orgasmic bliss calling out for all the deities known to man. That would be my preference.
Well, hopefully your woman's helping you with that. But the whole thing about, as I just said, because I see where you were trying to go with that, you would want to appreciate a woman that has a prayer life, and a woman should appreciate a man that has a prayer life because you need to have some spiritual stability in this day and age. From all that's going on, Herb made a comment earlier, and I wanted to go back to it, where
Okay.
he said that we sometimes we put ourselves in a bubble, and we don't hear other things that's going on. Like the one woman that you mentioned had a following, and she went viral with this one video she did, and
Don't
I've
want
never heard of
to.
her. But the thing is, some things is not meant for me to hear. I
Okay.
know, and for the fact that I know it works for me.
Okay.
So if it work, what's going on with Lakia in my circle, if
Mhm.
it's working, if it ain't
Mhm.
broke, I ain't trying to fix it. It's mechanically working well.
Well, she just got finished talking
So
about
why
it.
would I want to change? And if she's speaking something that I'm not in agreement with, I'm not gonna put myself in that situation. I'm not gonna put myself in that environment. I'm gonna be mindful of what I allow to feed my spirit, so that I can continue to maintain my peace and my comfort and my life in the way that I like to see it in. So everything is not for everybody.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't read all the books that's out. That's why I don't watch every show that's out there. Like, the people talk about, oh, do you watch P Valley? No, I don't watch that. I don't care to watch strippers. I don't care to watch that. I ain't into that. What would I
Well,
watch?
you probably not into women like that, although there
I'm
are
not into women. Exactly. So why? What would that benefit me? But that's the
I
same
watch
thing.
strippers as often as humanly possible.
And so, as I was saying, I'm not into it. So some things you just don't need to feed your spirit. Period. And wife goes to church, but the husband doesn't. That's too much of that. A man, just like a man would want their woman to support them, a man should support their woman. Period.
Well, I
Yeah,
guess
but
it depends on the leadership of the church that the man
yes,
probably sees that says, "Man, I ain't checking for him." But y'all seem to go overboard, baking brownies and doing all that shit, and he may not be about that.
speaking of which, you see Creflo's dollar reversal on tithing, and how he now has thrown his peers into a little bit of a tailspin.
About
This is what
tithing.
black men have. This say it again. Look here.
About tithing.
Yes, and this is what black men have been saying for going on close to 20 years. This is why you see, and you're correct. The women who go to church are married, but what you see is a lack of men between the ages of 18 to like 45 who aren't in the church, and that's a demographic that the women, in order for the church to continue to survive and propagate, need, not want, need.
I watched that video of Creflo Dollar, what you're talking about with the tithing. And it's not so much what he's saying it's not to do, because he was saying it's about the old. He's talking about tithing was part of the Old Testament, the old law in Jesus, and basically trying to, it's being said that Jesus abolished the law, um, but to fulfill the law, he didn't come. But no, let me quote that correctly. He said he came to fulfill the law, but I'm still, to be honest with you, praying about what I heard with Creflo. Actually, I was having a conversation with the Lord about it today, because I am a tither. I am
The Lord told you that.
excuse me.
You said you're a tiger.
I'm a tither. I tithe.
Oh, a tither. Oh, I thought you said a tiger. I was about to say, okay, the Lord told you was a tiger. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. You're a tither. Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm a tither, and so that's a principle for me, and I've seen the fruits of that principle.
Gotcha.
There's some things that I'm a firm believer of reaping, sowing and reaping. That's harvest.
Okay.
Farmers know that.
Gotcha.
It's all about giving. The more you give, the more you get back.
Okay.
That's something that's very. So what he was sharing, it is caused some stir, and I'm still praying about it, because I'm all about hearing from him. When he answers me, I know it's a solid answer. So
So do you hear a voice, or I mean, I'm just curious. Do you hear a voice there, or are there signs, or how does it work?
No, he speaks to me.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Yeah, I don't question people's metaphysical experiences, because by definition, it's a very personal thing. So how can I question that? So okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But see, that's what I was getting at. Look here, I'm not a Christian. I don't follow religious doctrine. I don't adhere to it in any way, shape, or form. But in order for me to speak about some things and understand what's going on in a larger world around me, I need to keep my ear to the ground so I understand certain things. And this is how I was able to mention that, because I see and I say, okay, this is something we've talked about on this platform before, the lack of black men in church, and that's a key reason why.
Well, black men are definitely okay. So if the argument is that if there's a question about black male theology or black male spirituality or whatever, let me suggest this: there are many black men within the mosque. They may not be at the church, but they definitely at the mosque.
In the mosque, they have to give. The mosque can't care. Don't just care for itself.
I think it's like 2.5%. Christians is 10%, but for Muslims, if I recall correctly,
But
it's
that's the thing
2.5.
Creflo Dollar was talking about. He was basically coming against the 10%. He was saying just give. He wasn't saying that it was a number. Um,
So with the mods, that's not correct. It's not 2.5. I know it's much higher than that, but they also have to give their time.
Well, no worries. No worries. We can figure it out right here.
Yeah,
Zakat. What is
I
the
ask my brothers, whatever.
Yeah. What is the obligation to donate a proportion of their wealth each year to a charitable cause? And zakat would be. I mean, we can find out right now. Let me see. 2.5%. Yep. I remember my religious training kicked in. This comes from Investopedia.com. 2.5% or 1/40th of a Muslim's total savings and wealth. There you are. I'm a very lapsed Muslim, but a Muslim nonetheless. So there you are. 2.5%.
So
I consider myself something of
I believe as a Muslim, you pray. Don't am I?
Right? I do have my conversations with God. That's the reason why when the sister responded to my question that God speaks to her, I have no issue with that because people ask, well, why Islam? Obsidian Mumia Obsidian Ali. Why Islam? And my response is because I can hear God speaking to me in a way that I don't with other religious voices. I'll put it that way.
Well,
sounds kind of weird, but yeah.
Oh no, it's I mean, it depends on the individual. It's a lot of people handle it in different ways. So
Right.
I don't think it's weird, but I think when you in a relationship, if that's not where they at, that's a whole nother conversation that you got to have before you even enter into a relationship. Because some people will tell you straight up, nah, I don't get down like that. But I think still some women still progress on with the relationship, knowing he ain't going to church. He like, yo, I work. The football game is coming on, 1:00 game. I ain't got time for that. I don't got time for that.
There's a difference between not being particularly religious but not atheist. So there's a difference between them. So what you're telling me, that doesn't necessarily smack of atheism. It just says to me that the person isn't particularly devout.
Yeah.
So there seems to be some distinction that has to be made here. Black women are more devout than black men. This is Pew Research. As a general rule, they're more devout black women than devout men. But then the problem with that becomes, how do you explain all the baby mamas in the church? How do you explain all the gluttony in the church? How do you explain that? Gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins. So how are you going to be a big girl like that? That's against the church teachings. That's one of the 7 sins. Look, Zam, gluttony. I mean, how do you explain that?
Well, it just because somebody's big doesn't mean they're glutton. It just means they're just not having eating.
How do you get big? Okay, well, how do you get so big?
It's just what you choose to eat. Based on what you choose to eat doesn't mean you're over.
What do they serve at the black church? Well, you tell me what kind of fare do they serve? Do they serve gluten-free veggies?
Sell dinners. We don't do that at my church. We don't.
I didn't say your church. I said the black church. What do they serve at the black church? You tell me.
Listen. What they sell at the mosque? They got bean pies.
They ain't selling hog malls. They ain't selling hog malls. I tell you that.
No, they do. We do sell that. The black church does. Do a lot of chicken dinners and things.
Chicken dinners and all that frosting on the cake and all the rest of it. And who's cooking all of that? What do the ladies look like there? What do
the mosque sell fried fish.
Fried fish.
But do the ladies at the mosque be just as big?
Yeah, y'all don't want to go there. Y'all don't want to go there. Don't go there.
So this is the thing. What I think what happens is more so because in the church, and if you're not married, or no, I think as women, as we just get older and we get settled, sometimes we do let ourselves go. Men do too. It ain't just women; men let themselves go too. And it's not. I don't think it has anything to do with them gluttony. I think it's just not having a healthy diet. I think it's not just that. I really do. I think that's why diabetes is out is was on the rise, still is, with men and women. So I don't think it's gluttony. I just think it's choice of food. And like I said, some women and majority of women in church are married. Is And I think a lot of times people gain weight because they eat out of not having sex. I think it's
Oh.
another like people eat
Oh, put a
out
pin
of
in.
Whoa, whoa. Here we
people
go.
eat
I'll be
from
right back.
Here
depression.
we go.
People eat because they're not sexually active. It's a
Oh,
replacement.
wow.
Just like a smoker. A smoker stops smoking when they start eating more. Am I
You're giving us
right?
Yes, I
Napalm.
was
you're
with you
giving us
all the way
talking
till you
points.
said that.
You're giving us
I
Napalm.
talking
know about
points.
that.
It's
Napalm.
the truth.
I.
It's the truth. I gained. That's why I know I gained a lot of weight. I was
I
eating a
don't know
lot.
about people. I don't know how. I don't know.
Great point, Nakia. Great point.
You
It
sugar
is.
shame.
I do believe it's out of depression, and it also could be out of being not sexually active.
Ain't touching that one. I'm going the other way. I'm like Snagglepuss. Exit stage left, right even.
What was wrong with that statement?
I'm just not. I'm not touching it. Let's look at it like this. Let's take that statement and say that it's true. Then the question becomes, why isn't an individual engaging in carnal pleasure?
Because a lot of men are being cheating on their wives. That's why.
So wait a minute. So I'm gonna take that answer
Wives are
as
$88 million because she ain't getting none from because he getting
I,
it from somebody else.
I'm going to take that answer, pardon the pun, as gospel, and say that if she ain't putting out, then it ain't his problem if he getting it in. No pun intended. So why is he not putting out?
I don't think it has nothing about her putting out. I think sometimes, somebody's desire, they have a different desire. They have a desire for something else.
Okay, so is that the husband's fault? Does he have to suffer too?
Listen, I don't know what
You went there.
I'm
You
saying.
went there. I'm going there with you now. I'm going down the rabbit hole.
I don't think it's about suffering. I think it's about re-sparking the marriage, sparking the marriage bed, getting that back in order.
Would be easier.
But he doesn't have a problem. She does.
How
Would
do
be
you, I'm
easier
not,
to fuck you
she
with the
doesn't have
dick.
to have the problem either. It's maybe he doesn't want to, he's not sexually like interested in her anymore, or he's out there playing the field. I don't know. It could be anything. I'm not saying that's the only thing. It could be that
So
as well.
so that led me to the question. I know Obsidian in your book you talk about black men and black women cheating.
That's right.
It's happening.
So how, like, what have you found that the reason why it happens between both genders?
Interestingly enough, and I focus on black men and black women. Interestingly enough, the reasons why black women cheat are very similar to the reason why black men cheat. The number one reason is sexual variety. Number one.
I just said it.
So yeah, women like variety, huh?
It's out there. It is what it is. You have to, as human beings, we have to learn to have self-control. We have to learn to deny ourselves. And we have to learn to strive
Black
to
women
stay
ain't
high.
denying nothing themselves. You take a look at them; they ain't denying themselves nothing.
And we have to work on that.
They gonna put their mouth on all that food.
Interesting.
Not every woman in church is big, sir.
Not all of them, just the majority.
I don't even think that's the majority. And I believe if it is, their husband is just as big.
Could be. Usually that's usually how it goes. You don't see a whole lot of Jack Sprat couples in Black America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bunch of Sherman clumps running around, huh?
Yeah.
See, and this is is the importance of having these conversations, because as you can see, there's a lot of disparities and a lot of notions that's thrown out there, but we have to talk about it. And a lot of times people don't want to talk about it. They want to talk amongst their circle, but their circle ain't shit, half of them.
Yeah.
So you're listening to people who ain't did nothing, ain't don't have goals, don't have values, and it's an importance. It's that's the importance of hearing other people talk about these subject matters. So, hey, here we have it.
Well, here's the question. Let me throw this at you, Obsidian, because I know you've spoken on the plight of Black America and long term. Also regarding the conversation, as you like to put, and I think that's an excellent word.
Thank you.
Um, Going forward in the next, let's say, 30 years, what does Black America look like in your opinion in terms of family structure, the number of kids that we're going to produce? Are we going to go the way that I personally think Native Americans as being more of a permanent underclass, or is there a chance for us to actually rebound?
I don't think it's going to be a permanent underclass. What I think is that you'll have a sector of Black America that will be that way, but how it will shrink, number one, because contrary to popular opinion, Black folks are having fewer kids overall than in previous generations. The kids that are being born tend to be born the most to the lower classes, where stable families, that is to say, married mom, dad in the same home, are much less common, increasingly so. You'll have a large middle class that will be hanging on by a thread, pretty much. You'll have a much smaller upper class that will be comprised increasingly of non-ADOS Black people, as well as a rising tide of biracial Black people. Black communities, as we have known them, here I'm hearkening back to Everybody Hates Chris, for example, the new Wonder Years. That's being narrated by Don Cheadle. You know, that whole thing, that kind of 70s, into the 80s vibe, that will become increasingly a thing of the past and nostalgia more than a reality. Black America will be smaller. Black America will be less cohesive. Black America will be much more variegated or much more segmented. Here I cite Eugene Robinson's Disintegration, the Splintering of Black America. So you'll have much more of that. There'll be much more along the way. There'll be much more tensions between non-ADOS Black folks and ADOS Black folks. Tensions over questions of identity, tensions over the simple fact that, and this will happen in their group as well, but at least early on, for the first generation or two, there'll be tensions over the fact that these groups, these non-ADOS groups, will be pulling ahead of ADOS Black American groups, financially, socially, and that will create a lot of tension. Let me see what else. You will see an increasing number of those people rising to prominent positions in American life. Barack Obama was kind of like an early forerunner of that.
Right. We see with Kamala.
Yeah, Kamala Harris, and so on. Joy Reid. So in other words, people that are either sons and daughters of Black immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean, or Blacks who are, biracial. They have a non-Black, usually white, but not solely, because you'll have Blasians, if you will, Black and Asian, and so forth. You have Afro-Latinas, Afro-Latin guy. So you have those type of things happening. That will be, increasing in the next, 10 years. Because you said 2030, right? So the next 10
Correct.
years. So all of those things are in the mix. And ADOS Blacks since they have committed to a certain track. And that track essentially is, were it not for racism, we would be all right. So they will continue to pursue things like reparations, for example, which
I'm
could,
glad. I'm glad you said that. Because this is what I see happening with reparations. I see that in about another 10, maybe 15 years, they'll backdoor reparations so that it isn't that money that would have gone predominantly to people who look like us will go to people who look more like Kamala. That is one of the ways they'll actually keep that money within their own people, if you will.
it definitely will be a part of a conversation right now. And as a matter of fact, I was asked earlier about Roe v. Wade, and a big part of the argument is that Roe v. Wade was ended because of a sense on a part of the white dominant society that they're dwindling. So they need to replenish their numbers. Now, I don't know how true that, the fact that it's a thing being discussed and taken seriously among blacks online contributes to what we're talking about right here. So there's going to be even more of a kind of bunker mentality among ADOS blacks. And even more shrill call for redress along these lines, reparations being one of them. But my thinking is this: even if black folks get reparations at this point, it's too little, too late. I think that the problems that really see the single biggest problem that's hurting black people right now is that racism is over. Nobody wants to admit this, but that's the single biggest problem. It's kind of like what Bane said to Batman in the Dark Knight Rises: "Victory has defeated you." And black women have their own ideas of what a good life looks like, and black men have their own ideas of what a good life looks like, and increasingly, never the twain shall meet.
Yeah.
Increasingly.
Well, you can't never
Hold
say
up.
never. There's no
So
absolutes in that.
you said racism is over.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Meaning what I mean by that is, I don't mean George Floyd. I don't mean Joe Rocker saying something stupid. I mean state-sponsored, in your face, Mississippi burning, whites here, colored only here, can't swim in the swimming pool, force you to sit in the back of the bus type racism. That's what I mean.
Where do you live?
Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. So you I don't know
That's
where.
not over. That's
No, it's
not
not
over.
over.
Because you don't hear about it does not
Right.
mean that it's not over. Because you don't hear about it on the magnitude that you've
Right.
heard about the history of it does not mean that it's over. That's not over. I've lost family members, 2 family members, to some racist stuff just recently. So that's not true. That's not over. And for you to
There's a couple
even
things you
make that
said.
statement
Yeah, there's a
is
couple things
like
you said that was a discrepancy there.
baffling to me.
Yeah,
What happened
yeah.
to what happened to your family member?
Dave, I'm going to leave now.
Huh?
Yeah, later. Bye-bye. I'm gone.
Uh,
Y'all have a
all
good
right.
night.
That's the thing. Like for you to make that statement, that's
It must be
to
prayer
me.
hour.
That just kind of reminds me of how
I don't
distorted
even know how to
thinking
get
is going on out there. Because one thing we do know is racism is still very, very prevalent in this. We live up north.
Hold on. Let me
We're in New York
let me
State.
interject let me interject on.
Let me say something.
Go
I
ahead.
heard Herb. I know how you like to give clarity. I heard him loud and clear. Racism
You
is
heard, but
huge.
you didn't understand. That's the
He
difference.
he even brought a more of clarity to what he was saying, and now I did hear him very loud and clear. We're in New York State. Like you said, majority of blacks live in the South, and they are considered Republican states. That was funny to me that you said that, because the majority of blacks are Democrats. Am I understanding? Am I right when I say that? The majority of
You're
blacks are
right.
Democrats. And so so you're saying all of these blacks that's living in the South is being run by Republicans. So that's saying that we're not out there voting. We're not doing what we need to do if we're the majority of us is down there and they're still running stuff, but we ain't doing enough. That's one thing that's saying to me. Secondly, you made another comment in regards to men and black women and black men never getting together. That's not true. There's a lot of black men and black women coming together.
Didn't say that.
And the fact that that this that's maybe your observation from wherever you live, but from where I live and from my standpoint, what I see, a lot of black folks are coming together and loving each other and building families together, and or even bringing families together. It is happening. Okay, it's not just, oh, black men and black women can't get together. That's not true.
I didn't say that.
You just said, you used the word never. So that's what I'm saying. You can never use
I
an
said
absolute.
increasingly, never the twain shall meet. Increasingly.
Never the twain shall meet. I just think that
I
word
said
never.
increasingly, never the twain shall meet. Increasingly.
Okay. So as I'm saying, no, that's not true. I don't agree with that either. Racism is still crazy right now, and especially what Buffalo just got shot up by the young man with all. I live in the Buffalo area, and from at the Tops Market.
That's not state sponsored.
Excuse me.
That's why I said, look here. That's why I said you don't understand what Obsidian is talking about is pen to paper legislation that has specifically said that blacks can't do certain things. You're talking about the individual action, and the individual action can never be put on state legislation. That's what Obsidian is talking about. And I always say this, you guys don't understand legislation. And because you don't understand legislation, you go off on the tangent that you are on trying to make him wrong when you fail to understand what he meant.
So you're saying that you're only speaking of legislation. Are you saying that, sir?
State-sponsored racism.
Is that what you were saying, Obsidian? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I'm talking about state sponsored. The laws on the book.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because that's not what you said, Prime. That's not what you said.
I said state sponsored.
No.
I said state sponsored.
All right.
Whites only, colors only. That's state. That's the state.
But then didn't you just make a statement a bit ago about segregation?
What did I say about segregation? I ain't say anything about segregation.
You didn't say something about segregation?
I said whites only and colors only. That's state sponsored. Right in the back of the bus. Why did they have a bus boycott? Because that was state sponsored. That was by law.
No, I don't believe we can go back there. It's too many. So we've gone too far to go back there. So that's why I understand how you could really make that decision, to make that statement that way. But you did say something about segregation.
You don't think that the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act and the Fair Housing Act, you don't think that's ending racism? Really?
No, it's not ending racism.
So,
wow.
Are we
you
talking
think
about
ending racism? Like the act of racism? Is that what you're saying? Or just the law of racism?
State-sponsored racism.
So
do you know what racism means?
Racism is not just it's not just based on state.
I didn't say that.
I know that's what I'm just saying that it's not just based on state.
So Obsidian, I think you need to explain the state-sponsored racism, because I think a lot of people gear it toward personal racism, like their own internal feelings or their culture or community. So what's the difference?
Right.
The ability not to vote.
Oh.
The ability not to take a swim in the public pool. The ability not to deal with public accommodations because of your race. Being forced to sit in the back of the bus. And so on. That's state-sponsored racism.
So I can agree with that they're trying to do away with that, but I think the lower level racism level that's being taught from parents to kids is still going to be there. And I don't know the solution for that, because a lot of it is based on what, even me working in the school system, when I talk to kids, and it's been a lot of racial stuff, the climate going on with the different Asians and blacks and Africans and, the black Americans. There's been a lot of, like, this past school year, since the pandemic been going on, and then we finally came back to school, we had to deal with a lot of that, and a lot of it has been dealt with, like comments and stuff on social media and stuff. But then when you get to the core of it, some of them will say that their parents, that's their parents' views that have been put on kids, which is a whole nother issue.
I don't, I don't personally speaking, I don't think as long as there's cultures, no matter where you go, you're never going to be able to get rid of the individualized quote unquote racism. You can go to India, and India is one of the most heterogeneous places that I know of on this planet. They still have their own brand of racism. If you look at the upper class to the Dalits, they still have their infighting. That's never going to be eradicated because it requires a level of people working together. And as long as you have capitalism, and I don't want to get into capitalism and Marxism because that's a whole different ball of wax. As long as capitalism exists and somebody has their opportunity to work themselves up the ladder to go from poor to middle class, or from poor to middle class to wealthy, there's always going to be people looking for a reason as to why they didn't make it. And the low hanging fruit is the easiest thing to grab, and that's what a lot of people cling to, regardless of their ethnicity, culture, or wherever they come from, because it's a substitute. And if people can use a substitute for why they failed, they're gonna do it. That's for a lot of people. That's their nature.
Sounds about right to me.
So I'm in agreement with the statement he made, because I'm at the point now where where do we stop where do we stop celebrating or quote unquote acknowledging the first black to do anything?
All that stuff is nonsense to me. I mean, for real, it's overboard. It's OD with all that stuff, and I think sometimes we do too much as a race to try to dignify our accomplishments. To be honest, especially where we live at, and in the culture that we live in, they don't care about that really. So, what's the point of doing all that?
Well, they still haven't even changed the school books to teach more about African American history.
Let me ask this question then. Ultimately, whose responsibility is it to teach their child?
Well, you would say from home. It starts from the home. But when you have non-educated parents that's out there as well, then this is what we get. So they rely on schools to
That's what school
educate
is
them.
for.
Now,
That's what
school,
we pay taxes for.
Believe it or not, school is there to teach your child how to exist peacefully in society. School is not there to quote unquote educate your kids.
yeah, you can't have
This is go ahead, David.
you can't say that's what school is for when the numbers is not correct and it's disproportionate. And most of the schools might have white women in there, and we already know that it's a crisis that it's only 2% black males in schools and stuff like that. So schools that no that it's a lot of disproportionate stuff that goes on in education. So a lot of it has to go from home, come from
Yeah.
home, like home training and just basic stuff, basic little stuff to get you by through the day that is not being taught. And then that's why they had a prison,
School
suspension
pipeline.
and prisoner pipeline and all that stuff, whatever, because stuff is not being handled at home, being filtered out into the community. So that's like
Well,
these conversations go deeper.
that's what just Herb just made that statement about people making excuses. We can't keep making those excuses either. That all majority of black kids don't come from decent homes.
Well,
What if it's
I'm
true?
just saying. Well, it takes a village to raise a child, right? We
Really?
agree. So
Okay, so what does the women owe that village? What do they owe it? What a lot of guys are going without any feminine company. Don't those ladies owe those guys some company?
And what are you referring to, sir?
Well, you said it takes a village to raise a child. How did the child get here? By the stork? You find them
What
in
I'm saying
habitat?
is that it takes a village to raise
Where
a
do the
child.
children
Staying
come
in the
from?
state of being
Where do
taught,
the children
teaching a
come from?
child. Where
Where do the
what?
children come from?
Where does what come from?
Where do the children come from?
We know where they come from.
Okay, so is that a village endeavor there? Is everybody in the village taking part in making the kid?
It takes a village to raise a child.
Well, who made the kid? Who
The
made him?
mother and the father. There's the
Okay,
grandparents.
was
There's
that
the
a village
aunties.
affair?
There's the uncles.
Was that a
There's the
village affair?
schools. And as I was saying, it's the
Was that a
schools.
village affair, madam?
It doesn't matter if it's a
It
village
does
affair.
matter.
It
How
does
you gonna
not
say it
matter.
doesn't matter?
It does not matter.
How you
What
gonna say
I'm
it doesn't
saying to
matter?
you is, if I can finish, what I'm saying is this. Even if you don't have parents that were schooled and have education or not, does not mean they can't still teach their children something. So when I say a village, it takes a village. Auntie might know something, uncle might know something, grandma might know something, grandpa might know something. The school, what they're giving, they may not give all the what we can give, but they know something that they can teach your child. The Boys and Girls Club, where they going after school program, there's some people they may run into that can teach your child something. Or maybe when they go over to their friend's house and their parents take them to church, and then they can go there and learn some things. It takes a village. It takes a little bit of everyone and their gifts, their talents, their understanding, their knowledge, their wisdom to help raise a child. That's what I'm referring to, sir.
But you do realize that the concept of the village,
That's
as
a village.
as you're speaking of, is broken. That village no longer
Everything in
exists.
life is broken. No one is getting 100% of everything they need
No,
to
that's
get.
not. That's no.
You're not even
That's not
getting
what I'm
all your
talking about.
nutrients for your body. You're not even drinking all the
But that's
water
not what
you
I'm.
need to
That's
drink.
not what I'm. That's
So what do
not
you
what I'm
say?
speaking of.
What are
The
you speaking
reason
of?
Obsidian asked you the question was because fathers are notoriously absent from the child's life.
Okay.
That's the first link that's broken. So if
Okay.
the primary link is broken, then those other two links don't have a chance. And I've said this when I
Yes,
ran
they
for
do.
school
This
board.
doesn't mean
Hold
that's the
on,
thing that you're wrong at.
hold,
That's
hold on.
incorrect. Because the fact of the matter is this: if daddy ain't there, maybe grandpa was there, maybe uncle was there, maybe cousin was there.
Who's grandpa? Who's the
It's the
grandfather on what
child
side is going to be
gravitates
there?
to love, and it doesn't take just a father to teach a young man
The
or a young
grandfather,
woman or teach
is it going to
the
be the
daughter.
maternal or the paternal grandfather that's
It
there?
doesn't matter. It could be a stepfather. It could be
It has to matter because if the father isn't there, then
it
the
could be a
paternal
stepdaddy.
grandfather can't be there
Why can't he?
because
Sometimes the
they're absent
grandparent.
from
Sometimes no.
that side of the
Sometimes the
family is
grandparent.
absent.
Sometimes the grandparent is doing what the daddy should have been doing.
You show me one.
Sir, my son, his father was in jail, so the grandfather stepped in and was being a help. His grandmother had said so on his father's side. Yeah, that
Okay.
happens a lot. There's some
Now,
stepfathers
out
that step
out out
in when their daddies don't show up. Yes,
out
that
of
happens a
100
lot, sir.
out of wedlock births, how many times does that
I'm not.
happen? Give me a
Listen,
number.
you listen. You and your statistics, you can keep that. What I'm saying to you,
Because that's what the world runs on.
there's a
The
lot
world
of
doesn't
men
run on
that
feelings.
have become very good, successful men raising beautiful families and children and have a beautiful wife, good relationships, and did not have a daddy in their life. Or some of them didn't have mothers in their life. But guess what? They had people that love them to come into their life, to pour into their life, to teach them, whoever it may have been.
So is
Whatever.
this why? So is this why the black male dropout rate is so high?
Listen, the black male dropout rate is so high because what you said earlier, excuses. Grabbing
No,
hold of
they're not getting
excuses.
what they need
Because
at
guess what?
home.
I didn't have a father in my life, but was I going to sit around like I don't have a daddy, so I'm going to drop out of school or whatever it may be? No, it's excuses.
I never said anything about
Laziness.
dropout. I never said anything about dropping out. I said the black male graduation
Dropout
rate.
rate is because laziness and it's because of excuses and not trying to push themselves to do better. Just because you
But
don't have something in your life doesn't define you. You
but
make you decide where
you
you want to go in your life.
you do
Look here.
understand that they make it very easy for young black males to not succeed in school by pushing them
You
forward,
know what?
even though they have.
You know, they make it very easy, but you know what? That's the thing where y'all talk about even black women. You said, okay, and let me just make some clarity here. I understand there's a struggle, but as I'd be damned as if I sit here and let anybody continually make excuses for these young men to do this, decide not to go to school, or decide not to go and read a book, or decide not to try to find another way or means to get an education outside, or if they're having a hard time understanding with the books, what they're reading in the books. I understand people learn differently. Some people are hands-on and some people are book smart. And there are schools now that will cater to more students, men, boys, and girls, that they can go to school and have more hands-on, and opposed to books, like being all in the books and still get their degree.
So look here. What about emotional intelligence?
That's
That play
there's
play.
there's those grown folks that's lacking in
Yeah, we talking about
emotional
kids that play a
intelligence.
bigger factor than IQ, whatever. When your social environment and things like that is off, that you're not able to function, whatever. This system ain't designed, whatever. We got to fight
Then you
extra
create it.
hard.
Then
We got to
create your.
fight
Then you
extra
work
hard.
hard. You
We got to
do.
fight extra
And women
hard.
and black women do too. Y'all think y'all talk about Becky.
I'm
What
not
about
even
what we
talking
got to go
about.
through? No, I remember somebody made a statement earlier. Black women have to work, like you said about college. Like white women, they go and they fancy free all up in college, and then towards the end of the years of college, they try to mate up and get a man so they can have a family. We can't do that. We
Says
have to stay
who?
on point. As black women, we have to stay on point. We got to
So
stay. We
wait a
got to
minute.
go above and beyond
Wait a
what the
minute. So you
norm
mean to tell me
truly is,
that
to be even
a Caucasian female at
respected.
22 and a African American woman at 22, both in college, both unattractive, graduated in 4 years, don't have the same struggle?
No, they do not.
Oh wow.
So if
Okay.
you know that, because it's the same thing with black men. You don't A black man that
I
can go
don't
to
agree. I
college
don't agree with
and a
that.
white man that go to college do not have this. They will not have the same opportunities, sir. You know
I
that.
did not see. There you go, mixing words. I didn't say opportunity. I said struggle,
In the
meaning
same
that they
struggle, no, they
can't
don't.
find
Because
a
guess what?
viable
Most white
mate.
men have a father that has a business, something they can go and get them a job and say, "Hey, go work over
I said
here."
can't find a viable mate, and this is what Obsidian was talking about earlier with
There you go.
Builder Boo.
Same
Y'all
thing.
want that man that's already established before you commit to him.
It's the
That's exactly what Obsidian was talking about.
As I was saying, it takes a village, and someone can still succeed, as people have been doing every day, even if they did not have a father or did not have a mother in their life to help them, or did not have an education. When you apply yourself, you can get results.
That sounds like the bootstrap argument, and you know the
That sounds like
bootstrap argument don't play
the
well.
bootstrap. Seriously.
Oh
That
yeah,
sounds like the bootstrap argument.
I was just saying this earlier this evening, somewhere elsewhere. When it comes to black men, black women can get really Republican.
Quickly.
What do you mean by that?
Ah, interesting that you'd ask that question. I'm not going to answer for you. I'm going to let you figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
Listen, no. What do you mean by that? We turn.
Let her figure it out, Obsidian. Let her figure it
I'm
out. They
raised
rarely,
this way.
they rarely
I'm raised
against
this
Donald
way.
Trump,
So
but they
let
don't
me give you
understand what
another
Donald Trump was trying to do. Let her
I'm
figure
raised,
it out.
and my boys, this Raheem, just so you don't know, all my boys are 90 students. So the math and all of it, science,
By the
English.
way, black men have to be really good looking and they have to be in good shape. I even heard a black woman that had, I think she had 2 kids, said that she didn't want a man with a dad bod. I'm like, you have a mom bod by definition.
But what does that have to do with the child learning something? I mean, what did this come in from? About a woman turning Republican when it comes to a man. That's what you're saying? Women saying stuff
When it
like that
comes
when
to
it comes.
the issues of black men, the view of black women and some black men is that it's up to the individual to solve. But when
Mhm.
black women have problems, it's up to everybody else to solve. It's society's issue. So
Well, you
colorism
know
is a
what?
societal
That's
issue.
not the case. That is not
So colorism is a societal issue. Body
that is
positivity is a societal issue. any problems that black women face is a societal issue, but any problems black men face is a personal responsibility or lack thereof issue. Hence why I say when it comes to black men, black women can be very Republican.
You know, I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, and it is all based on who you talk to. But for the fact that I never let any of my boys have excuses about nothing in this life.
You're only reinforcing what I just said.
And listen, and I'm gonna say this. No, I don't agree with your statement.
I didn't put a value judgment on it. I just said that's what it is. Black women see black men's problems as personal failings that they need to address. That's all.
No, I don't look at it as personal feelings. It's things that they need to just don't allow excuses.
But that's what you sound like a Republican, though.
That I sound like a Republican because I'm saying you're allowing excuses.
Yes.
That's funny.
That's why I said let her figure it out.
Wait, so you telling me when a person decides not to go to school, okay, you don't decide to go. You don't go to school. There's no other choices.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just simply saying that. I'm just simply saying that black women's response is to black men, and they're not alone. There are black, there are other people that back it up. All I'm simply saying is, it sounds like a Republican. That's all I'm saying.
Nah, I just think most men need to own up to the decisions that they make. Own up to it. That's what it is. Own up to the decisions that you make, because you know what? If we sat around as women and allowed all of these different excuses to stop us from doing what we have to do as mothers, we really wouldn't have nothing going on.
Please stop. Please stop while you're here.
I'm not buying it.
Hang on a second.
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying it. Listen, you're going to tell me that it's not your feelings. I said excuses. So you said,
hang on a second. What excuses? What excuses are you talking about?
Why are you working in a school?
What excuses are you talking about?
You understand what I'm saying? Why are you working in a school when, a black boy, they can't even make it, they have it hard. What's the point of them even going to school?
What excuses are you talking about, though?
Excuses of why they didn't complete their education, or
it's very simple. I can tell you right now why I didn't go to school, and it wasn't an excuse. I don't want to be in debt. The end.
Listen, that is okay. It's understandable. You didn't have to go to school you can pay for your education, or you can go to, there's programs now that will help pay for your education, or there's different trades that you can get into that now they'll help pay for you to do.
Black women don't like guys in the trade.
It ain't about what the black women want. Do what you need to do for yourself.
Okay, so therefore I shouldn't have a mating life.
So, and I don't even think that's
therefore I should not have a mating life.
So
therefore I should not have a mating life. I should just do for me, and that
is an excuse.
Therefore, no, I'm asking a question. Therefore, I should not have a mating life.
Black women don't want that, dude. Y'all date white women. Y'all date.
Therefore, I should not have a mating life.
All type of women.
I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question. Therefore, I should not have a mating life.
That you know, that's just ridiculous what you're just saying.
I'm asking you a straight up question. She won't answer my question.
I did answer
you a question.
I did answer. I said you.
Therefore, I should not have a mating life. Just do what you need to do for yourself.
You date other races. So why are you putting it on?
I didn't date anybody else.
Why not?
He chronically said, when I read his bio, it said he was been with some woman for 12 years.
So hang on a second. I'm asking you. I'm trying to get at something here. The point is that black women enjoy advantages. I don't knock them for that. I don't have any personal bias against that. But the simple truth is that black women do indeed enjoy a degree of advantages that many black men don't have any access to. Does that mean that gives black men an out not to develop themselves? No, but black people are just like everybody else, and black men in this case operate by incentives. And when it comes time to lay out what the incentives are to black men, we suddenly can't do it. It gets real amorphous. We started using shaming language. We started talking to all this other stuff instead of saying, this is what you get if you apply yourself. Bam, 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 bam. That's it. That's what you get. Nobody ever does that. We don't do it with women. We don't say, if you work hard, this is the kind of woman you get. If you work hard, this is the kind of lifestyle you get. If you work hard, this is the rewards. We never do that. It's always about personal development, self-improvement, self-motivation, uplifting speeches. But when it comes to black women want specifics.
Listen, sweetie, let me share something with you. Because that sounds so okay. Maybe that's your purpose in life, is to appeal to the black woman. Maybe that's your purpose. But I believe you have a higher purpose than that, dear. And what I'm saying that, let me just you have a higher purpose in trying to put
what would that higher purpose be exactly?
To get to the word says basically, the word says this: to do good.
To who?
Do good.
To who?
Treat thy neighbor as I would treat
thyself.
Do
good to who? Exactly.
Just do good. Don't worry about who being appealing to the black woman. Don't worry about appealing to the society.
Do good to who?
Don't worry about it's about you establishing yourself where you want to be in life and finding what makes peace, what was peaceful for you. Not for someone else. And if that other someone else comes and it flows into what you desire for your life, great. But if it doesn't take away from who you are as a man, nor does it a woman.
How do you know? Have you ever been a man?
But it does. And
have you ever been a man?
Take away from me.
Have you ever been a man? Answer me. Have you ever been a man?
As a woman,
have you ever been a man?
Not to be in a
have you ever been a man? Have you ever been a man?
A woman.
Answer me. Have you ever been a man?
I am a woman.
How do you know what it takes to be a man? What is it about black women that think that they can tell black men about an experience that they ain't ever had? What is that all about? Why do black women get to do that with impunity? No woman can tell me what it's like to live as a black man. No woman.
No woman said what?
No woman, including you, can tell me how to live as a man. None.
So you telling me that I can't say to you, live your life?
I'm telling you, as a woman, you have nothing to say to me when it comes to how to live life as a man. You have nothing to say to me. I'll take no such instruction from you. Good day, madam. Good day, madam. You have nothing to say to me when it comes to living as a man. You have nothing to contribute. Nothing. You have nothing to say. You have nothing to say about me living as a man. Nothing.
Listen, that's
absolutely nothing.
Just come out. What came out was that hurt. That's what I hear.
You can say whatever you want to say, but the truth of the matter is, you ain't got what I got when you look downstairs. So therefore, you have nothing to tell me about living as a man. Period. You have nothing to say to me about living as a man. Why are you continuing to talk? Why are you talking? You have nothing to say to me about living as a man. What part of that don't you get? What part of that don't you understand? Your mouth is still moving and it still got sound coming out of it. You have nothing to say to me about living as a man, madam. What part of this don't you get?
You really can't make this up.
You need to be quiet right now.
Here.
You get it? You have nothing to say to me about being a man. That's where you went off the rails. You were good all the way up to that point. When you start talking to me about how to live as a man, that's when you stepped out of line. You have nothing to say to me about living as a man. Nothing at all. I take no instruction from anybody who has not lived assignment. You have nothing to say to me. Nothing. This is the part where you be quiet. Why are you not quiet? Why are you not quiet? You're not quiet.
Look here.
You're not being quiet. Your mouth is still moving. You still got sound coming out of it. Where's the part where you stop talking? Where are you talking? Where is the off button? Do you have an off button? Where's the off button? Do we pull the plug here? Do you have a plug in your back? What do we do here? Do you have a battery? What's the deal?
You just turned into.
What is the deal here? Do we wind you up? What is the deal here? Do we pull the string? What's the deal here? You're still talking. Are you solar powered? What's going on here? Your mouth is still moving. Your head is still moving. You're working your hand around. What is that all about? I just told you can't tell me anything about living as a man. You know nothing about living as a man. What is that all about? I didn't ask for your opinion about living as a man.
I can't even understand.
What are you so emotional?
I didn't ask your opinion. Nobody asked for your opinion about living as a man. You just offered your unsolicited opinion. Speak for my opinion. Nobody asked for your opinion.
What are you upset?
Why are you talking?
Because you.
Why are you making sounds out of your mouth? Why is your mouth continuing to move? What is that all about? Why are you continuing to talk?
I just let
you. Is that? What is up with that? Why is it that you're continuing to talk? How can these black women be Bible believers and then do the things that the Bible talks about is not good? How can you be a believing, Bible-thumping black woman and devout and then be a contentious woman under the house? Explain that to me. What is that all about? How can you be big as a house and violate one of the 7 deadly sins and still be a devout, believing woman? What is that all about?
What is it that you
explain that to me? What is that? That's got to be one of the great mysteries of the universe. What is that all about? Seriously.
I don't bow down
to that. What is that? Somebody jump in here. He's still talking. She's still going. He's the Energizer Bunny on steroids, just still going and going and going. What is that all about? Why is she still talking? What is that all about? What is up with that? She's still going. She's still talking. What is that? Now she's bringing in all kind of extra biblical stuff. What is that all about? What is up with that? Why is she doing that? She doesn't have anything to talk about at this point.
You're acting like.
What is that all about? She's still talking. Her mouth is still moving.
Why are you still emotional?
She still got sounds coming out of it. What's that all about?
Mute him.
What is that all about?
What is you so concerned
She's got
about?
2 other holes in her head called ears, and she's not using them. She's not listening. She's just talking. Why does she continue to talk? Why do black women think that they can tell black men how to be men when none of them have lived as a man? What is that all about?
I'm raising 3 men.
What is up with that?
3 men. And guess what?
What's that all about?
Guess what?
What is that all about?
This is the issue.
You wish you were them.
This is the issue. This is the issue. And you keep saying that you raised your 3 sons to be men, and your son came on.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
And what did he say?
He kind of threw you under the bus.
He did not throw. No, he did not.
No.
Now you want to do that, David?
No, I'm just saying.
No, David. No, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Keep your comment. I'm done. Goodbye. Take care.
Oh my God.
Because my son did not.
Oh my goodness! Look at her go. Look at her go.
Goodbye.
I could tell you the conversation.
Look at her go.
I'm gonna tell you to your face.
Oh my goodness!
I'm not returning because you won't ever let no man.
Oh my goodness!
Come on the show that I come on faithfully and try to disrespect me with his yelling antics to try to make somebody think that somebody trying to show him how to be.
I'm telling you what your son said.
How to tell women how to be women, but you're gonna tell a woman she can't.
Women asked me for my opinion. I didn't ask for your opinion. Women asked for my opinion. Nobody asked for your opinion.
The real God, and guess what his
Nobody asked for your opinion.
Get it together.
Nobody asked for your opinion. Good night. Thank you. Thank you.
Like seriously.
Yeah, she got the hell out of here when you told her the truth about how her son felt about her tutelage.
He did. She does not want to acknowledge the entirety of what her son said. She only wants to do what he said that validates her feelings, and after that, she doesn't want anything to do with it. I'll go back and dig up the clip they're sitting, and I'll send the clip. I'll clip it and send it to you.
I definitely want to hear it. I want to hear it. I gotta hear it. I want to hear this clip for myself.
Because primarily she was like, pretty much we was talking about like men have to raise men to be men, and then she was like, well, I raised my sons, and he was like, well, actually I had a lot of other help, my uncles and all of that stuff, and that's what so she knows that, but for whatever reason, I don't give a damn. Like I ain't coming on here no more. I don't give a damn. She should know that. Like it's crazy, whatever. But this is.
I mean, really, what is up with black women that always think they can tell black men how to live and they ain't live 1 nanosecond as a man? What is that all about?
It's the old adage of the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, except they don't realize that a lot of their hands wasn't on the cradles, but they still think they can rule the world.
Oh, and by the way, for the record, I was raised in a strong patriarchal household, my father and my grandfather. So, you know, I wasn't raised by a single mom and all that sort of thing. Bullshit. I was raised in a strong patriarchal background. And that's the reason why I don't brook any black women telling me how to live as a man. She has nothing to say to me about how to live as a man. Nothing. I don't ask for their opinion or advice or counsel because they're not men. Period.
And I let it go on, and I always tell her, like, listen, some things you can't argue with. You can't argue with certain things. Sometimes you just gotta listen. I listen a lot.
But see, this is why they never want to adhere to numbers and statistics. Anytime on this platform we talk about the numbers, they run away from them. They're inarguable facts. Everything that we do in life, our insurance, what we pay for a mortgage, rent, it's all based on numbers. You alluded to that earlier when you said that for black women, black men, everything is a number for them. But when it comes to black women, it's not, because they want that freedom to move about as they choose.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, you know, look, my thinking is this. It's up to black women to decide how they want to live their lives. That's their choice. I have no problem with that. But what I don't like is black women continuing to try to scapegoat black men that they have no dealings with whatsoever to account for the black men that they chose to deal with. That's my thing. Don't do me any favors and don't scapegoat me. Just deal with the guys that you deal with. When they do the dumb shit that they do, you just be quiet. That's part of the cost of doing business. That's it.
It was a live stream. And I can't remember whose it was. I want to say it was either BGS or the Green Gorilla, and a gentleman came on and he said something so profound that I was just like, yo, that's crazy. He said, women don't live in reality. They only want men to feel about things the way that they feel. And I was like, yo, so apropos, and it's at the heart of the conversation you was just having. They don't care. They want what they want when they want it, and however they see it, that's what it is. So if they see that the feelings of black men or black youth isn't a village thing, it's an individualized decision, then the question has to become, when does the village step in and make up for the individualized decision that is leading these young boys to fail? Because if you, as a young boy, fail to launch into manhood, then you're going to be stuck in a certain part of development that you'll never escape. And these are predominantly the ones that a lot of women are dealing with, that's making these single parent homes. And because people don't understand how that works, they keep thinking it's men that's out here doing it when it's men with arrested development, aka boys.
Right. So there it is.
Yeah, and that's the issue. Whatever, you can't argue with something like you said, Obsidian, that you don't know to be a man. So when men are telling you about this, you might have circumstances. My mother could come on here and say, I raised 3 kids, they went to college and all that stuff, but she know damn well that it was other men that played a vital part in our success. She knows that. So that's not an argument to have. So basically her son had said that, man, you know, my uncles was there and other people. So, but this has been an argument going on and on, because Lakia, you probably listening. You're the same one who said you can out coach, you could do anything a man can do, and all of that stuff. And I was like, you never really played like that. If you got a team together, my team will freaking smoke your team, whatever, because my knowledge of sports, whatever. But because you told me that you could watch a YouTube video and that would get you to outcoach me
That
in
would be
basketball.
sufficient. Watching one YouTube video is sufficient to beat somebody in the organized sports game. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, so, but Obsidian,
The other sister that
Obsidian,
talked about she had a problem with her truck, and she decided to put some more gas.
I'm sorry that this is what the counselor corner bring, but you already seen like in the group how it is, and it's real life when we come on here.
Yeah, boy.
Like we can't. This is where we at.
This has been a heck of a night. Listen, man, I want to thank you guys, man, for having me on. This has been very interesting.
Yeah, it always is. Whatever. And I appreciate you coming on, and I can't even speak to them because I already know that certain things they're going to challenge you, and they're going to keep going on and on. And
as we saw, she just would not stop until y'all talked about the fact that her son threw her under the bus, and she was such a great mom. And she had got the hell out of here with the quickness. Never seen anything so big move so quick. All right, so want to thank you all for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been a little slice of heaven. And
reality, man. This is what we're dealing with. I appreciate
you.
For
me, it's an honor to share the platform with you, man. Like I said, I've been a loyal follower. I remember back when I was doing security at the mall, you're actually how I got into following the Black Manosphere, because I didn't know anything about Upstate. I know there's a Black Ram 313, which is another fellow that I actually follow. So you brothers let me hear. So I'm definitely privileged and honored to share this platform with you, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Y'all guys have a good night.
All right, man.
Brother.
All right, y'all. Peace.
All right. Listen.
Can we play Queen? Another one bites the dust.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's some other things that I holler at you about, whatever. I don't know if I end the broadcast if you'll still be on, but it's just
yeah, you can.